All right, so Spencer, in the last video, you ended with a question. How does VLAN 10 talk to VLAN 20, right? Where would VLAN 30 go? So what's the answer?
That's when we introduce the router.
We introduced the router, exactly right. So we connected the two switches with a trunk port. Trunks carry what kind of traffic?
VLAN.
VLAN traffic. So now what we'll do is we will connect this switch, right? And what kind of cable do I use to connect a switch to a router?
Straight through.
I use a straight through because they're different devices. So I'm going to connect these guys together. Now it's kind of convoluted, but they're all linked together now. And because I've introduced a default gateway, the default gateway allows remote networks, right, on different networks to communicate with each other. So now, once I get everything configured, can VLAN 10 talk to VLAN 20 in Tempe?
Yes, because it's just like a remote network.
Yeah.
So it's actually pings the default gateway. The default gateway would have a route
Yes.
on how to get to VLAN 10 on Tempe. So it would route the traffic appropriately to get there.
Exactly, exactly. So let's see, what else do we need to know about this? So let's talk about this because I want you to notice how many VLANs are we dealing with?
We are dealing with 3 in Glendale and the same 2 in Tempe.
Right, so a total of 3. But I've only connected my default gateway with 1 port, right? 1 connection. Now this is actually a trunk link as well. Do you remember the type of trunking it is? 802.1Q.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Right? So it's, this is called 802.1Q encapsulation. It's a trunk. So again, remember VLANs go over trunks, right? So what this is called is inter-VLAN routing. So we were talking earlier about like travel. So if I'm traveling between states, I travel on an interstate highway, inter-VLAN routing. I'm going to allow traffic to communicate between VLANs, inter-VLAN. But we have this weird problem. I have 1 port, but 3 VLANs that need to get through there. Well, the router has a solution for that. And again, it's called inter-VLAN routing. So this is not the best drawing in the world, but let's call this our router. And let's call this G00 our interface. Okay, so again, what we have there, just 1 interface that needs to carry traffic for all 3 VLANs. What do I do with it?
You have to set up sub-interfaces.
Exactly, sub-interfaces. So we're going to create sub-interfaces, or basically subdivide this interface. I'm just subdividing the interface. Now, how is it that we can do that? Well, the router is just smart enough that it has software inside of it that can do that. Now, we're going to be learning the commands that make it do that through 802.1Q encapsulation. But essentially, here's my interface. I've subdivided it into 3 different sub-interfaces. So now I can get VLAN 10 across. I can get, I'll let you write those, VLAN 20 and 30 across. Here, I'll do this one as 30. So however many VLANs you have is the number of times you need to subdivide your interface. And you can have up to 50 sub-interfaces. So I could have 50 VLANs, right? And I could sub-interface that 1 interface 50 times. So again, a real savings mechanism for companies, because before they'd have to have a separate switch, a separate router port for every single LAN. VLANs and router inter-VLAN routing gives us all of this flexibility, allows us to grow our networks exponentially without having to buy new equipment.
Yeah, because we actually have 3 interfaces here on 1 actual core interface.
Exactly. Now let's say our company started growing and we added another department, we added a shipping department. I just add VLAN 40, build another sub interface, boom, we're good to go. I don't have to buy more equipment. So again, the whole advantage of VLANs and Inter-VLAN routing. Now, the Inter-VLAN routing that we learn is called router on a stick. And the reading goes into that. There's some other videos about it, but just keep in mind, you may hear this called router on a stick, Inter-VLAN routing, 802.1 encapsulation. There's a bunch of different ways that it will be referred to. They're all referring to the same thing. So did I miss anything?
No, I think we're good.
Okay.